A day to remember for the rest of your lives.
There's a great promise for all of you.
The Pro Football Hall of Fame and Extreme Networks present the Heart of a Hall of Famer program. With nearly 100 Hall of Famers participating, we have reached 48 states around this country, sharing the message that football is more than a game and can teach Americans how to huddle up during a time when we need to be united.
It's time for America to take a real deep dive. Not at no one else, but at yourself individually. If you want to change America, don't brush your teeth with your head down. Look at who you are and be the example. Be the example.
An opportunity to meet and learn from one of the greatest football players of all time. But more than that, the chance to see that their Hall of Fame life wasn't given to them. Single-parent homes, drug-infested neighborhoods, and poverty.
I grew up in a neighborhood that was considered one of the worst in America, and the household I grew up in was one of the worst in that neighborhood. By the time I was 20 years old, I knew at least 30 friends or family members who had lost their lives. Football became like a second parent to me. It taught me the things that my father wasn't there to teach me, and that my mother, as a struggling, single-parent woman, just didn't know to teach me.
But they learn how to live a life of character before pursuing their football careers. Today, you will learn you can do the same that they once did. Making good decisions can lead to a prosperous life both on and off the field. Your game for life has already begun. It's your decision whether or not you want to be a successful student, son, daughter, brother, or sister.
Every one of you can have a Hall of Fame life, whether or not you play football. You can be as great as you want to be. The Hall of Fame is all about integrity, character, and excellence. You have the opportunity to represent yourself that way. You determine your character.
Welcome to a once-in-a-lifetime program, the Heart of a Hall of Famer.
Marshall Faulk rushed for over 1,000 yards in 7 of his first 8 seasons.
Touchdown, Rams!
In 1999, he was named Offensive Player of the Year for the first of 3 straight seasons. He was elected League MVP in 2000. He retired as the 9th-ranked rusher and with the 16th most receptions of all time. Now, he's in the Hall of Fame.
Just a couple of lessons that I've learned throughout my journey. They may apply to you, they may not. My first piece of advice, to live life, don't let life live you. Chase your dreams. Believe in yourselves. Stand by every decision you make. I ask you to be the best that you can be and to live up to no one else's expectations but your own. We're all blessed. God lifts everyone on this earth. But what we do with it is the blessing. It's in our hands to put that blessing in motion.
Gold Jacket Marshall Faulk was a legend on the field, but lives a life of character off the field as well, doing outreach programs all throughout the year to help those in need and showing that football teaches great values of commitment, integrity, courage, respect, and excellence. Please welcome the star of the greatest show on turf, Marshall Faulk! Today's session is moderated by Kenny Rhoda. Rhoda currently hosts his own sports talk show at 1480 WHBC. He also works as the ringside reporter for the Lake Erie Monsters on Fox Sports and WUAB TV 43, and as a Browns and Ohio State football analyst for WEWS TV 5 News and NewsNet5.com.
Hello and welcome, thank you. And it's going to be a fun day here at the Pro Football Hall of Fame. Every day is a fun day here at the Pro Football Hall of Fame, but this day extra special as you're going to get an opportunity to talk to Marshall Faulk in this Heart of a Hall of Famer series today, class of 2011. And during our program today, you're not only going to get to talk to, you're going to have an opportunity to ask a question, listen to some of the great stories that Marshall will share with you, and also talk about the Hall of Fame values that you heard them mention there in that open about commitment, integrity, courage, respect, and excellence. And Marshall's going to share how some of those values helped him both on the field and off the field. Now, I want to welcome all the schools that are with us today. We have a packed house, which is always great to see. So I want to welcome Project Rebuild from Canton, Ohio, Choices High School in Canton, Ohio, Canton City Schools, Perry High School in Massillon, Ohio, Louisville High School from Louisville, Glen Oak High School in Canton. We've got Claymont High School, Woodridge High School, and Stark County YMCA. So welcome to all of you, and you're going to enjoy your afternoon here at the Pro Football Hall of Fame. We also want to announce some special programming. We want to make you aware of this. On November 9th, the Hall of Fame welcomes the 2018 Peace First event. This event will feature 5 teams from across the country pitch social innovation projects focused on community health and wellness. The event will be live streamed facebook.com/Pro Football Hall of Fame. So that'll be November 9th from 5 p.m. to 8 p.m. And not only am I sharing that with you, but we have a wide audience watching on Facebook Live right now, so make sure you tune in for that special day. Not only will you get to ask questions to Marshall here today, we will allow people through social media to give us questions on Facebook as well as on Twitter. We ask you that you hashtag them, hashtag HOFvalues, and we'll try and get as many of those in as possible. For you students who want to ask a question, there's a microphone set up right in the back in the middle. All you have to do is step up to the mic, state your name, the school you represent, and then go ahead with your question for Marshall. I'll get things rolling with our first question, Marshall, and you can see the Hall of Fame values over his shoulder to his right. Commitment, integrity, courage, respect, excellence. Is there one of those values that maybe stands out more to you as you look back on your career and what you've done since you've retired?
There is, and that value is, it's commitment. And commitment to me is because growing up in a drug-infested housing project community in New Orleans, Louisiana, called the Desire Projects, it is what it takes to make it out of there. And I didn't know that at the time, but once I made it out and I found football to be an avenue to get out, I realized the commitment, what was different, because I kept asking myself, what was different for me? What were the things that I did different that, say, my brothers did not do, or my friends, or other people that grew up in the same community who had not had the opportunity to play a professional sport? And I think it was, I know that it was, I committed at times when they wanted to go out and party, I was committed to school and making good grades. At times that they wanted to do what you do early when you're a teenager, test out drinking, try smoking, that wasn't for me. I committed to playing sports and trying to be the best athlete that I could be. And then you move on to college and the things that, once again, those very same things presented itself to me. And I had to commit to what I was going to school for. I was going to school, A, to get a college degree first, then B, to be the best athlete that I could be. And understanding that going all the way from New Orleans to San Diego, I wasn't there to party. I wasn't there to chase the girls or to just have a good time on someone else's dime because I earned a scholarship. I was there to get an education, and I was afforded an opportunity to play collegiate sports. And so the commitment that you have to make, it's not fun. It's not fun when your friends are out having a good time, they come home late, you're asleep, getting up, you're ready, you're studying, you're doing all the hard work. But I'll tell you what was fun. What was fun was going to New York, sitting down, hearing my name called at the NFL draft as the second player overall, getting the chance to change my family's life, being able to purchase my mom a home, being able to make sure that my kids and my family's life was going to be changed. The commitment that I made paid off. Right now, the things and the decisions that you make, you don't understand how much committing to something and down the road, what the payoff is going to be. The road is less traveled, it's hard, it's not fun, it's not popular, but it does pay off in some way, somehow. It doesn't have to be sports. It may be a type of career that you want, where you might have to go in order or what you might have to do in order to be different. You will have to commit to it. And down the road, that commitment will pay off. And then you'll have a lesson to teach your kids. And you'll have some substance behind you to say to your kids, to prove to them that hard work does pay.
Where did the resolve for that commitment come from? Was there, is it a family member? Was it a coach? Where did you learn that?
Yeah, my resolve came from my mother. I grew up, I have 5 older brothers, and we watched my mom work 2 and 3 jobs to make ends meet, to put food on the table. And it was when you're a single mom and you're in that situation, you got to make tough decisions. Do I keep the lights on? Do I keep the water on? What do I do? Cable wasn't an option. We didn't have video games. You got to balance food on the table, lights on. What do you do? How do you make this work? So when you watch somebody go through their daily life and constant struggle to make sure that their kids I didn't have to look at an athlete to be a role model. I wasn't chasing LeBron James. I wasn't chasing Michael Jordan. I wasn't chasing Patrick Mahomes. I didn't have to chase them. Like, my hero was every day, I watched her wake up, go to work, put food on the table, keep a roof over our head. That was my hero. That's who I idolized. So when it came down to hard work playing football, do I go out and condition, train till I threw up or till my legs were hurt? That was easy because I watched her work 2 and 3 jobs, soaking her feet, tired as heck, going to work tired, not just coming home tired, but going to work tired. That's where my resolve came from. So playing football, wins and losses, getting to play a game, call it a job, getting paid to do something like play football, it was easy work for me.
All right, let's go with the questions from the students in the back of the room. If you have a question, step on up to the microphone, state your name, the school you represent, and fire away for Marshall Faulk. Go ahead, young man.
My name's Chase. I'm from Crenshaw. And what was your welcome to the NFL moment?
What was my welcome to the NFL moment? So the pre-welcome to the NFL moment, I have to say, being drafted. You have no idea, and I'm gonna try to paint this picture and put it in perspective. You sit there, they tell you how great you were, you have no idea where you are going and who is going to pick you, and you understand you go from having no money to having millions, and to sit and hear your name called. It's real reality TV. Your life changed right there. Your life and your family's lives, right there. And it's unbelievable. Like, it's unbelievable that you hear your name called. It's like winning the lottery. And I will never forget that feeling, turning around to my mom, being able to tell her, you never have to work again in your life. That was a moment. Now, as for my welcome to the NFL moment in football, it happened early. First day in camp, we put on the pad. Actually, I came late. we put on the pads, and we're doing short yardage and goal line. And I got hit so hard. First play, I got hit so hard. And the guy named was Scott Radisack stood over me and he said, "Welcome to the NFL, rookie." And I'm talking snot bubbles coming out of my nose, mouthpiece out of my mouth. And I realized that I was playing a game and they were grown men, not boys in college anymore. So fun time. I remember both moments.
Thanks for your question. Appreciate that. Let's get our next student up with a question here for Marshall Faulk. Young lady, go ahead.
My name is Nadia, and I'm from Crenshaw. And my question is, Kurt Warner wasn't expected to be the starter for the 1999 season. What was the culture of the team like when he was named the starting quarterback?
The culture of our team, so I'll kind of, Trent Green was our quarterback going into the season, and in preseason, I want to say our second preseason game, Trent Green got hit in the leg, and he tore up his knee, and we're without a quarterback. And Kurt Warner stepped in as the starter. And the culture of our team was we were a bunch of guys who were high draft picks. I had just got traded from the Colts to the Rams. And we're a bunch of guys who we were tired of losing. You know, we were tired of not being good, not being thought of as guys who could win football games. And we were kind of high on ourselves. We played, 1.5 preseason games and put up a lot of points. It was like, wow, this is going to be fun. And then Kurt stepped in, and it was kind of odd that he was one of us in a sense that his journey and what he had went through, it was like none other. Kurt was a guy whom, he played at a small school and put up a lot of numbers, but people didn't respect him. He didn't really get a chance. He played Arena League football. He played back in the day when they had the league over in Europe. We called it World League. And he had won a lot of games, but just didn't get a lot of respect. At one point in time, his career kind of spiraled out of hands, and he was bagging groceries at a Hy-Vee to take care of his family. He had met a woman who had 2 kids. One of those kids were challenged, and he married this woman and took on her kids, and then they had kids and of their own. He was such a committed guy, but he was one of us. And I can remember thinking to myself that I had played a lot of games without good quarterbacks, and this guy, he had the intangibles of being good. So the culture of our team was, regardless of what happened, we were going to rally around what we had and go out and play our best football. Well, our best football that year led to a 13-3 season, and it led us to go on and win the Super Bowl that year. And I have to say, there's a lot of people who can lead your team, but the teams that are the best or the better teams, they're led by their quarterback. And about 5 games into the season, I was our leader. And it was happy for me to turn that leadership over to Kurt and direct the guys that Kurt was our leader. He needed to be our leader. He had earned the right to step into that huddle and be looked at as the guy who was leading that team. And I tell you, to this day, at that point in time, he was the best man I know, and to this day, he is the best man that I know.
Thank you for your question. And before we get to the next one, it's a Hollywood storybook ending story script.
It'll be a movie one day.
Right? It has to be. I'm being serious because he literally was bagging groceries.
He was.
And the injury occurs, and it looks like, oh, geez, you're losing Trent Green. And he steps in, and not only he led you guys to a Super Bowl champion, he's been in, 3 Super Bowls, 2 different teams, and here both of you are as Hall of Famers.
Yeah, I mean, a true Hall of Fame journey. I mean, and you want to talk about those core values.
Yeah.
I mean, he embodies every ounce of each word, and he's been through it all.
Let's get our next question in from the back of the room. Go ahead, young lady.
My name is Ashley from Louisville High School. When you came out of high school, why did you choose to go to a school like San Diego State instead of a big-time program?
So in life, you're going to make a lot of decisions, and you really don't know. I'm telling you guys, you have no idea, especially where you're at right now. You really don't know how those decisions are going to affect you. And I advise you this, make the decision with an open heart, consider your family, but make the best decision for you. And I'm telling you this because, I mean, I was a high school blue chip All-American. And I played at a very small school, and at times, we didn't know how many guys we were gonna have when we played on game day. You just didn't know. I played quarterback, running back, receiver. I played cornerback, safety. I punted, I kicked, I held for the kicker, I played kick return, punt return. I also played on kickoff. I played on the punt team when I wasn't punting. I literally walked on the football field when the game started, walked off at halftime, walked back on when the game started after halftime, walked off the football field when the game was over. I played whole games in high school, literally. So it was hard for schools to evaluate me. This was before they had what's called athlete. They needed to evaluate you, they needed to know what position you played, and it was hard for them to decide. I knew that for me, I had the most fun when the ball was in my hands. So who touches the ball the most other than the quarterback or a center? The running back. So I wanted to play running back. They told me I was too small. They told me I wasn't fast enough. They said a lot of different things. I knew that was the position I wanted to play. And right around the time that I had to make this decision, my father passed away. And so I'm going through dealing with the death of my father and needing to make this huge decision. And my mom had no clue about this decision. My mother was educated. I mean, she dropped out of high school, maybe in 11th grade. She was having a baby to take care of our family. So this decision was something that she couldn't help me with. My dad passed away, he couldn't help me. None of my brothers went to college, they couldn't help me. I had to make this decision on my own. And the only thing I knew was, I knew what I wanted. I wanted to go to a school that had a good business program and a school that was gonna let me play running back. That was in my heart, that was my conviction. I had to make a decision. And going through all of this, if you're being recruited or you've been recruited or any of your family members have been recruited, they sit down and they tell you all kinds of stories, lies, anything to get you to come. And I told my coach and I told my mom, the first school to come in and offer me an opportunity to play running back and their business program is what I want, that's where I'm going. And that was San Diego State.
Worked out pretty well.
It did.
Let's get another question in. Thank you for that one. Have this young gentleman step up.
My name's Hunter. I go to Louisville. What excites you about the future of the NFL? What is something you'd like to see changed?
What excites me about the future of the NFL is I like the position that I played and how I played the position. And that's now the standard for playing the position. As a running back, it's not just about running the football. You got to be able to catch the ball out of the backfield, and not just catch it out of the backfield, line up as a receiver and win some of those one-on-one battles with linebackers. The game is it's expanding and becoming a global game. I was just in Shanghai, China. The NFL actually has an office in China as well as an office in the UK, and the game is growing. We'll play a game in Mexico City this year. Football as we know it, football in the world is really soccer. They call soccer football in the world, but as we do here in America, football is how we know it. Our football is growing in other countries. They love our game. If you saw the game last week, it was Jacksonville. Oh my God, who did they play? Oh my God, Jacksonville and Philadelphia. Jacksonville and Philadelphia played and sold out stadium in Wembley. I'm talking every seat, fandemonium. Every fan is sitting there with a jersey on of a player that they love and respect or a team that they love. So the game is growing, and I like the fact that the game is growing. What I would love to see change about the game is, and I understand the culture and what we're trying to do with the health and safety of the game, and I like some of the avenues that they have, some of the things that they've implemented to make the game better, but we cannot put all the responsibility on the defensive player to keep the game safe and to make the game safe. We have to change some things about how we allow offenses to play the game, to take the responsibility off the big hit to the receiver by the defensive back or the linebacker. So we've taken a lot of physicality out of the game, and yet the responsibility of playing defense and trying to make the game safety-wise better, it's all on the defense, and we have to find a better balance. So when we talk about or try to evaluate today's player with yesterday's player, we're talking about the same game, not a different game. We have to also allow the quarterback to play tackle football. You know, if you stand in the pocket, you should not be unbreakable. It's impossible for a 350-pound guy to beat a 300-pound guy and get to the quarterback and then have to decide, hold on, wait, I have to hit you below the neck, above the knee, and you're not going to stand there and let me do it. It's just hard. It's a lot that we're asking, and then now you can't fall on him a certain way. You can't throw him down. I mean, I don't know if you guys saw it. Was maybe 3 weeks ago, a guy thought he had a sack on Tom Brady and let him go because he didn't want to get a flag, and Tom Brady threw a touchdown right after that. I mean, it's impossible what we're asking our defenders to do to make the game safe.
Thank you for the question. Appreciate that. We have one from Twitter here, Marshall. Looking at the future of the NFL, how important are athletes like Todd Gurley and Ezekiel Elliott, two running backs that are two of the best in the game?
Yeah, very important. Very important. I think it was maybe 4 or 5 years ago, we had 2 years where no running backs got drafted in the first round. And it was like 4 years that no running backs had got drafted in the top 10. And the position started to be devalued, and it was, and they don't understand. And when I say they, I'm talking about the suits who make the decisions on how we play the game. When you decide that a quarterback is as valuable as a quarterback is, and when I say that, I'm talking about you can't hit him, you can't hurt him, they don't want him to get hurt, and if you look at how we pay our players, the only money that's really being guaranteed with these huge numbers are quarterbacks. So you're forced in that position to be as valued as it is in the NFL. And the devalue of running backs come with that, because think about all the good things that can happen for an offense when you drop back to throw the football. This is why passing is up versus running. I mean, if you sack the quarterback, if you hit him in the head with your hand, that's a foul. If you hit him in the face mask, that's a foul. If you hit him below the knees, that's a foul. If you dive on him, that's a foul. If you slam him on the ground, that's a foul. That's just to the quarterback. Now let's move on. Illegal hands to the face if you touch an offensive lineman's helmet. Illegal contact if you bump a receiver past 5 yards. Pass interference if you grab a receiver while the ball's in the air. If you hit a receiver above the shoulder pads or in the helmet, that's a foul. I mean, there's so many things that can happen good. But if you hand the ball off to a running back, other than grabbing his face mask, there's no foul that can happen. So if you're an offensive coordinator, what are you going to do? You're going to throw the darn ball. So when you have athletes like this, elite athletes, and they are doing what they're doing, churning out yards, scoring touchdowns. Todd Gurley right now, other than Pat Mahomes, no one else should be mentioned for the league MVP. But they're going to throw some other quarterbacks in there just so you guys can kind of look at them, because they like to do that. We need those athletes, and we need to continue to produce running backs, because we are relevant. The minute a quarterback starts struggling, what do they say? Why don't they hand the ball off? Why don't they run the football? It's the only time they mention running the football, when the quarterback's struggling. So we're needed, we're necessary, and no team has won a Super Bowl without having a running back score a touchdown some way, somehow.
Let's go with more questions in the back from our students. Step on up to the microphone. State your name and the school you represent, and go ahead with your question.
My name's Lou, and I'm from Glen Oak High School. The Hall of Fame values are commitment, integrity, courage, respect, and excellence. What do these mean to you, and how have they applied to your life outside of football?
Yeah, this is easy. Outside of football, as in inside of football, they relate. You know, obviously, I spoke on commitment. Having integrity, it just goes a long way. It shows, it goes beyond you. And it's the one thing, it and respect reflects on your upbringing, and it's what make your parents feel proud to be your parents. When you're not around them and people talk about you and say, that's a respectful kid, he has integrity. As a parent myself, when my teachers speak of my kids in that way, it makes me feel good. It warms my heart to know that my message, the messaging in my house, is conveyed to my kids, and when they leave me and I'm not around to police them, they are still living the core values inside of my house. I mean, and I target those two, as I said, you know, with commitment. And then you talk about excellence. Excellence is about, it's not about just being excellent. It's about striving for it, knowing that you are giving your best effort at all times. And let's be clear here. That effort is not always going to produce an A. It's not always going to get you where you want to be, but it's going to grow you in a sense that if you're giving your all and you're not getting what you want out of it, people are going to notice that you're giving your all, and they're going to extend a helping hand to make sure you now learn what's next. But if you're not giving your all and you're afraid of failure, then you can't be helped. It's harder to help when you don't try. But if you're trying and you are showing people that you're giving a maximum effort, then that hand is going to be extended to help you, because they're watching you work. No one wants to see you fail in life. They're always going to help people whom are trying to help themselves.
Thanks for your question. I want to throw one your way, because I do a lot of these with different Hall of Famers. And one topic that always comes up is adversity. Everybody in here goes through adversity at some point in their life, some more than others. What type of adversity did you face early, and how were you able to overcome that, and how did that help make you the person that you are?
Oh man, adversity is a part of life. And as long as you live your life, and I'm talking about from when you become old enough to understand what adversity is until you die, you are going to face adversity. It never escaped you. I don't care how much money you have. I don't care where you live, what you're doing. I don't care how happy you are today. At some point in time, adversity, you're going to face it. And your character, the courage that you have, your beliefs, your core values are the things that get you through adversity. I told you about the decision I had to make of going to college. My father passed away. None of my siblings ever going to college. My mother, no high school diploma. I didn't have a lot of resources. The adversity of making that decision presented a lot of anxiety to me. But it didn't stop there. I went from New Orleans to San Diego State with 2 bags of clothes and about $200, and no money was being sent to me. How do I make it? What do I do? You grind hard. You bust your butt. You go bag groceries, you know, because you can't work when you're on scholarship, not a real job. So you gotta do different things. You have to sometimes eat syrup sandwiches. You know, you go through moments in time where you're challenged. Didn't have a lot of money. Then 5 years into my career, another moment of adversity. 5 years into my career, they're not going well in Indianapolis, and I want to be traded. And I knew I needed a change in my career, and not just a change to play, but a change in scenery. Because sometimes, you know, I went there as a 21-year-old kid, and I left as a 26-year-old young man, understanding that I was different than when I first came there. And sometimes when people see you as a 21-year-old, it's hard for them to then understand that you're different at 26 and you need a change of scenery. Although I had grown up, I had done some things when I was 21 that they could not look past. And partially it was my fault. But in life, sometimes you have to learn that people do grow up and they understand what's different. So the adverse situation for me was I wanted to leave a team in Indianapolis after playing 1 year with arguably one of the best, if not the best quarterbacks to ever play the game. I played 1 year with Peyton Manning, and then I wanted to be traded. Do you know how crazy that sounded? I mean, do you know the decision that I had to make and what was being said of how crazy I had to be to want to leave a team that Peyton Manning was on? I mean, this guy was just a winner. But for me, you want to talk about some adversity? Yeah, I want to leave. So yeah, not only am I going to leave, I'm going to a team that's worse than the team that I'm on. I'm going to the Rams. So understand, but I had to make that decision, and I made it. And now I'm traded, and I'm on this team that was worse than what I was on with the Colts. Oh, and I told you about that 2 games in the preseason, our starting quarterback gets hurt. Now you want to talk about some adversity. I got to go out and help this team win games. So you're faced with decisions all the time. You work it constantly. I'm talking about, and I want you to know it, adversity, it bestows its ugly face on every human being. I don't care where you're at, what you have, how wealthy you are, how poor you are. Adversity, no one escapes it in this room. So think about your courage, think about your core values, and just stick to your conviction that you're making the right decision.
Let's go with more questions from our students in the back. Then we've got some other social media ones we'll get to. Go ahead, young man.
My name is Isaiah from Choices High School, and my question is, what was it like being part of the greatest show on turf?
So, the most amazing time I've ever had playing sports was playing with these guys. And I kind of keep leading into different things. It just seems like these questions, they kind of lead. So as I just told you about going through adversity, what happened, the greatest show on turf was born after the adversity, the decision to leave Indianapolis and not play with Peyton Manning, the decision then kind of looking like it was about to explode when the starting quarterback goes down. Then this guy who was bagging groceries at the Hy-Vee and couldn't sniff the NFL is now our starting quarterback. All of this is born in this same time. We, to this day, if you're an offense and you're putting up points, you're going to be compared to what we did in a time to where the game was not how it is now. It wasn't as pass friendly. We were considered playing the game a crazy way because of how much, how often, how early we threw the football. I have to say, besides what was called the running shoot that went in and out of as a fad offense, for some years in the NFL. This was probably before you guys were born, this thing called the run and shoot. We were the first team to line up in four wide receivers and one running back on first down. Like we would start the game that way. Teams only did that on third down. That was a first down formation, and we ran plays out of it. We were the first team to play a game and throw the ball the first 25 plays, we threw the ball. Didn't run a running play until the 26th play. We did things unconventional. It was so much fun. And the best part about that and playing with that team and those guys was the unselfishness that we had. When one person scored a touchdown, we all scored a touchdown. Nobody cared about who got the glory or who got the praise. We all celebrated. That was the birth of something that we named called the bob and weave, where if you were in the game and we scored a touchdown, all 11 players were in the end zone celebrating. We actually, up until 2 years ago, we were the reason why you couldn't celebrate in a group. Because we scored so many touchdowns, they stopped group celebrations because of us. And 2 years ago, they decided to let the fun come back in the game, and you can now group celebrate. We were the cause of that. So a lot of great things happened playing with these guys. And of that whole team, the 53 guys, we have a group text of about 40 guys that we keep in contact with, and we talk, just about every day. Somebody is saying something, saying hello, or someone's birthday, or someone kid is now playing in a Ricky Pro, who played on that team, his son just got picked up by the Rams. We're always celebrating different accolades of either guys that are coaching now or our kids that are playing some way, somehow. So we're still a tight group, and we're still friends. So special moment in time in my life.
Thanks for the question. Put it in perspective real quick, maybe. You guys did for the NFL what the Golden State Warriors are doing in the NBA, correct?
Exactly. That was us.
That'll give you an idea for the kids that are here now. They see the Warriors, the three-point shot. What you guys did with the passing game changed the NFL, just like the Warriors are changing the NBA.
Yep. How they shoot threes instead of twos. I mean, that was us. Like we scored in a day when scoring 40 points was a lot. I mean, we did it often in games.
And regardless of who your favorite team was, when they played, you wanted to watch them because they were fun. They brought more fans to the game, and then it's a copycat league. Other teams started picking and choosing some of the things you guys did.
Yeah, we were considered crazy because our quarterback averaged throwing the ball anywhere from 35 to 40 times a game. And in today's league, if your quarterback don't throw the ball 35 to 40 times, he's not a good quarterback.
More questions in the back? I saw, there we go. Go ahead.
My name is Rico, and I'm from Lehman. My question is for you. How did your character help you when you were traded from the Colts to the Rams after having so much success in Indianapolis?
My character, it was all I had. And the desire to wanna grow as a person, and when you grow as a person, your character and your values, they are what help you grow. As I told you, a lot was said about how crazy of an idea that was. All the pundits, the reporters, I got to hear it so much, how stupid I was for demanding a trade and not playing with Peyton Manning. I mean, and there's no greater feeling than the very next season to be offensive MVP and win the Super Bowl after that trade. It only took them about 6 games to stop saying how crazy I was and how good of a move it was for the Rams to trade for me. That's how quickly it changed. They forgot that they were calling me crazy and started to praise the Rams for making the trade. So remember, always hold on to your character. Always hold on to your core values and stick to them. And it may not always work. And when it does not work, I want to tell you this because that worked for me. It doesn't always work. You still stick to your core values. And you see it through. Don't quit. You see it through and learn from whatever that mistake is you made. But stick to your core values because that's all you have. If you start flip-flopping and you start changing, you know, and then it's impossible to grow.
Thanks for your question. We have one via social media here. Do you take the lessons you have learned from the game and mentor current players like running back Frank Gore?
Yep. This game is about giving back. And it's funny. So last night, one of my mentors and dear friends, Thurman Thomas, his number was retired. He played for the Buffalo Bills. I don't know if you watched the game last night. And if you didn't go get some chips or something in between halftime, Thurman, he got his jersey, his number retired in Buffalo, which is an honor for me because when I was a rookie playing in Indianapolis, back then we were in the AFC East with the Buffalo Bills, the New England Patriots, the Jets, and the Dolphins. That was the division that we played in, and we played them twice a year. And the first time we played them was in Indianapolis, and we weren't that good of a team. But after that game, Thurman Thomas came. He came over to me, put his hand around me, and he said, "Rook, you're a heck of a player. If there's anything I can ever do for you, on or off the field, I want you to take my number and give me a call." And for a competitor, a guy that you're going to play 2 times a year, a guy whose butt I want to kick every time I'm on the football field, for him to take me under his wing, mentor me, instill the values in me to make me a better pro, I feel indebted that for the guys coming up after me, I got to pay it forward. And that's what I try to do, whether it's Ty Gurley or Frank Gore, Rashad Penny, any of the young guys that reach out to me and they want help or they need advice on things on or off the football field, I want to be there for them because they are the future to the game that I love. And I want to make sure that they play the game right, live their lives right, and leave the game in a better place, which is what I was asked to do and which is what I strived to do when I played.
All right, let's get a question from one of our students and a couple more here on social media. Go ahead.
I'm Kayshawn from Lehman. When you were playing with the Colts when they drafted Peyton Manning, what was he like, and when did you know he was going to be great?
Peyton Manning, so I'll kind of tell you, the one thing that young players and definitely young quarterbacks struggle with is there's just, from college to pro, the volume of stuff and plays that you have to learn, it's like night and day. I mean, you go from a 5-subject notebook to a dictionary. It's unbelievable the playbook that you have in the pros. And Peyton Manning came into minicamp. So you get drafted in April, and minicamp is in June, and he knew the verbiage of the playbook without a coach needing to help him. So mentally, I was like, wow, this guy is amazing, amazing talent that you can come into our first practice as a rookie and understand the verbiage and the diagrams of what we are doing already. That was the first thing. I was like, that was amazing. The second thing was, as we went through his rookie year, he never made the same mistake twice. And that's huge, because in the game of football, once people understand you have a weakness, they're going to exploit it. And sometimes it takes players 2 and 3 weeks of seeing the same blitz or the same defense before they can adjust to it. I mean, in game, if you did it once, you only got to do it once. You only got to trick him or fool him once. And that was it. I mean, he was definitely the smartest player I'd ever played with. And because of those two things, talent-wise, we knew how good he was. You don't go first overall and have the career that he had in college while playing at the University of Tennessee and not have the talent. So I knew very early, not to mention we're both from New Orleans. I followed his high school career. I knew all about him. His father, I'm a New Orleans Saints fan growing up in New Orleans. I was a fan of his dad, Archie Manning. So I knew about Peyton. I played against his brother, Cooper. He and I were the same age. We played against each other. So I knew about their family lineage and how good quarterbacks or athletes that they were.
Thanks for your question. Another one here via social media. Joshua from Roxborough Road Middle School in New York. I want to play football in the NFL. Do you have any advice?
I do.
Give him some advice.
I do. It's very simple. You cannot play football if you do not love the game. If you love it, go out there, play the game with your heart, and it'll bring you all the rewards in the world. It's the one game that you get knocked down, you get up, to get knocked back down, to get up, and get knocked back down. I mean, it's and as you get older, you'll understand that's life. That is life. Life is going to knock you down. The strong people who succeed in this world, they get up, and it's going to knock you down again, and you get up, and it's going to knock you down again, and you get up. And I hope that at no point in time you stay down when life knocks you down, because it's going to knock you down.
More questions in the back from our students. For Marshall Faulk, your opportunity to talk to a Hall of Famer. Don't let this chance go by.
Okay, my name's Jelani Hurd from STEAM Academy. What does it mean to you to be a first ballot Hall of Famer?
And I want to say this because I hate, it's an honor when they say first ballot, but I kind of dislike being distinguished that way, because it kind of takes a little bit off the guys who didn't get in first ballot. Because when you walk into this room, this room right here, when we meet in here, we're all on the same team, and it's the greatest team in the world. You can't get cut, you can't be traded, you can't quit the team. In reality, you can't even die off of this team. You're on this team for life. So I hate when they reference us by first ballot or not, but to answer your question, it is of individual honors that you can have. It's the greatest honor ever, the greatest honor. I sit in this room with the pillars of the game. And when I say pillars, I'm talking about the game that I got to play, the game that you guys watch. It was built by some men who didn't make a lot of money, who didn't get a lot of accolades, whom are not your heroes, but to the game and what it is, as you walk around this museum, don't just look at the players that you know. Read some stuff about the players that your mother and father or your grandfather looked up to, or your great-grandfather looked up to. Listen to some of the names that they tell you. Read about how they played the game, because there wasn't as much fanfare. Their games were not played on Monday night and Thursday night. They built this. They made this league what it is. Teams were not billion-dollar franchises. They weren't making millions of dollars. some of these guys that built this game, they played football and then they went and worked a regular job. They gave me the opportunity to play the game that I love. And I get to sit in here, and every time I get to meet one or talk to one and have a conversation, I pick a different guy out every year to get to know. And every time I tell him, thank you for doing what you did so I could play the game that I got to play and love and live out a dream that I had as a kid. So it's an honor. It is an honor to be a Hall of Famer.
Thank you for that question. Okay. We have another student in the back. I think we have time for one more question. Step on up and get it in. And go ahead, young man.
My name is Marianne Brown. I go to Lehman. What was it like to be on the cover of Madden 2002?
Oh, Madden 2003, being on the cover. So I grew up, when I got to college, playing video games, it was a thing. It was like it just started to come around in Madden. So that's like a you've made it moment. Like, oh my God, like I'm on the cover of Madden, and that was a big deal to me. And not only was I on the cover of Madden once, I was the first two-time cover guy because in 2011, my Hall of Fame year, I got to be on Madden, the Hall of Fame edition. I got to be on the cover for the second time. So it's just an honor. And I'll tell you, my kids, they were younger when I played, so they remember some things about me playing and when I play, and they hear about my accolades and stuff like that. But the thing that they're kind of most proud of is that their dad was on the cover of Madden, because they love video games. And my two sons, they love it. They love the fact, like, regardless of how good of a dad I am or not, regardless of my accolades or winning the Super Bowl or league MVP, they love and embrace me being on the cover of Madden more than all of that. So it is special to me because it's special to them.
And if you play like the Hall of Fame edition, you want to win, pick him as your running back. He won me a fantasy league, and he'll win you your video league too, because he did everything, and that's why he's one of 318, a unique fraternity. Only 318 men are in the Pro Football Hall of Fame. Marshall Faulk is one of them. How about a nice round of applause for Marshall Faulk?
Thank you. Thank you.
We want to thank you all for coming out. Hopefully you learned something today. A special day with Marshall. For those of you that are heading back to school, meet with your group and head back. Those of you that get to take a tour of the Hall of Fame, enjoy that. Thanks for coming out and safe travels.